Alright, time for another video. Yeah, I know I haven't uh, been doing much videos lately, but uh, I mean, I guess it's a little bit lack of motivation nowadays, but uh, today I just, like always, I have an kind of itch to make a video and I will do it like spontaneously. I never plan any videos, but anyway, as you have, if you have followed my channel, you probably knew that already. But yeah, today I'm going to talk about Nintendo Switch 2. So there was a Nintendo Direct a week ago. I watched it live, and the presentation was okay, but I actually expected more, like from the console itself and especially games, since you know I am a kind of weird Nintendo. I wouldn't call myself a, well, I'm a Nintendo fan, but I'm just a console fan, not specifically Nintendo fan. But of course, I've had Nintendo consoles, every one of them since Nintendo GameCube. That was my first Nintendo home console. Of course, I had Game Boys back in the day when I was very young. But yeah, uh, I just don't care about Nintendo's first party games much, uh, except Metroid series, and more Metroid Prime series, which I'm really uh, happy to say that we will finally get Metroid Prime 4. Like, wait, when was Metroid Prime 3 released on Nintendo Wii? I think it was back in something like, I don't know, 2009, 2008, or maybe 2010, something like that. But it's been way too long. Or it could have been 2007. Anyway, something like that. Finally, we are getting new Metroid Prime game, and to be perfectly honest, like as of this day, that is the only game I'm looking forward to on Nintendo Switch 2. Of course, it's also coming to the original Nintendo Switch, so the game will be cross-platform, cross-gen, uh, cross-gen game coming to both original and Switch 2. Of course, I'm going to get this better Switch 2 version. But yeah, so today I pre-ordered Nintendo Switch 2. Like, still a couple of months ago, I wasn't sure if I'm going to get it on day one. Like, it was mainly because would there be any games that I would be interested to buy. Uh, we don't know exactly when Metroid Prime 4 will be released. It just says 2025, so we know as of now that it's coming this year, but I don't think it will be a launch title. No, I don't think so. I think Metroid Prime 4 will be aiming for fall or winter 2000, this year, 2025. So fall or winter this year is my guess. But yeah, I'm just like generally I'm always curious and interested about new consoles, whether it's Xbox, Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo console. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure if I'm going to get it on day one, but well, I pre-ordered it, so I will be getting it on, I hope, on release date or release window. It really depends on how the reseller that I pre-ordered from, how many units they will get on launch. That's still unknown. Even they don't know the exact number of units they will get. But I read like last year that Nintendo postponed the Switch release a little bit. I think that was the case, to make sure there would be enough, you know, enough units to be sold. So they did they they didn't want any, like PlayStation 5 catastrophe. So I think the reason why we had to wait the extra time for Nintendo Switch 2 is the manufacturing time. They just wanted to make sure that there would be enough and not severely limited availability, like with PlayStation 5 and a little bit like Xbox Series consoles also back in 2020, 2021. But yeah, like the console itself, like I have to be honest, I kind of expected it to have kind of all new gimmicks. Well, there is one. So in that sense, I was a little bit disappointed about the presentation. I mean, the new gimmick that the Switch 2 introduces is that you can use the Joy-Cons as a mouse. So I think some FPS games and real-time strategy games will be using it, but we'll see. Well, yeah. So that's a kind of new gimmick for Switch 2. Not much else. Like, it's pretty much the same, but just more of everything. More power, bigger screen, more storage, probably bigger battery pack, or battery in general. But the only really, that I think is a little bit too much. Well, not that much that I wouldn't have pre-ordered it, but the price. Like, I don't know. I mean, the starting price in Europe region, I don't know much about the US and other Asian regions pricing, but here in Europe, specifically Northern Europe, Finland, the starting price in euros was 400, I think 69 or 79, 460 or 79 euros, but it's actually much more. Like where I pre-ordered it, the price was 589 euros, so a little less than 600 euros. I mean, comparing to OLED Switch, which costs only nowadays 350, 300 and like between 350 and 370. So this is like more than 200 euros more expensive. I think that's a little bit too much, especially here in Finland. So of course Finland wanted to add the extra Finland price, because we live in a fucking expensive country here. So yeah, like of course I was expecting this. I was really expecting it to be more than 500 euros, but like not almost 600 euros. So I can't help but compare the price to Steam Deck that I got in the last days of last year. So Steam Deck here, I don't know about the other variations, but 512 gigabyte model LCD, not OLED, LCD Steam Deck costs 600 euros. So about the same as Nintendo Switch 2, and we are only talking about the console itself, not the bundle with Mario Kart World. I didn't get that bundle because I'm not that interested about Mario Kart games or this new game. So I got only the console. So the price is pretty much the same as Steam Deck. I mean, I don't think we know the exact specs of Nintendo Switch 2 yet. I'm not sure, but I think we don't have the full specs yet. We know that it uses NVIDIA chipset like the original Switch, so they continue with the NVIDIA like system on a chip. So yeah, it's a rival to like Steam Deck that uses AMD chipset, but I don't really care about. Back in the like desktop PC gaming days, I always was a fan of AMD more than NVIDIA. So yeah, you could say I'm more into AMD products than NVIDIA, but anyway, doesn't matter that much. So I'm not sure if we know how much RAM Switch 2 has. I'm guessing something like 12 gigabytes or 10. Steam Deck has 16. So I'm thinking it has less than 16. Uh, and also the internal storage on Switch 2 is 256 gigabytes, so half the internal storage that my Steam Deck model has. So yeah, I can't help but compare. Like Steam Deck, I'm assuming it may even be, even though it's 3-year-old console, like already, I still think it will be a little bit more powerful than Nintendo Switch 2. So, the same price, about double the storage space as Steam Deck, a little bit more powerful perhaps, more RAM. Steam Deck has like SSD storage, whereas Switch 2 still uses flash storage. So in my books, SSD beats flash storage. It's faster, it's better, as far as I know. So yeah, I just think Switch 2 is a little bit too expensive. Like, especially comparing to Steam Deck. Sure, they serve very different purpose. Like Steam Deck is kind of a full-on PC in a handheld mode, where you just play PC games, and of course Nintendo Switch will be a more console like, and the games of course will be optimized for Nintendo Switch. So I would say Nintendo Switch 2 games might be graphically better looking than Steam Deck games, because of course there are some Steam games that are specifically, I wouldn't say specifically designed for Steam Deck, but optimized for Steam Deck, and they run and look like very good on Steam Deck. But of course we are talking about Nintendo, especially first party games that will be very well optimized and runs awesome, runs very well. And so we don't know yet. I'm just curious. I will be definitely comparing Switch 2 games to the Steam games that I have on Steam Deck. Like, I'm definitely going to compare those. Other info about Switch 2, it has a quite much bigger screen. Like the original had 6.2 inch screen, I think, 720p, and the OLED had 7-inch 720p. Switch 2 will have 1080p screen with 7.9 inch, so almost 8-inch screen. It will be a significantly bigger screen, and bigger in general than the original Switch. But and I think the measurements are quite similar to Steam Deck. Like Steam Deck is a huge device, and Switch 2 will be a very similar in size to Steam Deck. Uh, Maybe a little bit smaller, but not much. And when on handheld mode, uh, I think, yeah, the 1080p screen will have a 120 hertz refresh rate, and when docked, uh, it will support with 4K with 60 hertz refresh rate, or 1080p with 120 hertz refresh rate. Yeah, I think that was it. So definitely a big improvement over the original, but of course, yeah, like it's a 8-year newer device than the original, so of course you expect it to be significantly better. Like I read somewhere that Switch 2 has about 10 times the power of the original Switch. Like, of course, that doesn't like tell you the full story. It's like 10 times more, yeah, but it's very hard to imagine like how much it actually is in games, like when you actually see and play those games. But yeah, significantly more powerful. So what else to say? Yeah, about the storage, of course, it uh, has a micro SD card expansion, but it requires those high speed SD cards. It's not compatible with the cheaper, not non-high speed micro SD cards. Uh, they will still use, of course, I was expecting, they will still use game cards like on original Switch, but they have more capacity. I don't know how much, but I think quite a lot of more capacity. Like I think the original game cards had something like 10 gigabytes, uh, or a little bit more, something like 10 gigabytes capacity. I would assume that Switch to game cards has at least something like 20 to 30 gigabyte capacity, something like that. Yeah, so that's it pretty much. I don't know what did I forgot something important about the console itself. Yeah, okay, a little bit about games, like uh, other than Metroid Prime 4. Uh, like only in general, yes, I'm not interested about the some games that have been announced for Switch 2. So the first party games, there will be a new Donkey Kong game. Uh, I think it was called Bonanza. Uh, that will be releasing this year. It will not be a launch title. Oddly, there hasn't been announcing any new 3D Mario game, which is weird. I mean, original Switch only had Super Mario Odyssey, like, and that was like it came a little bit like I think it came in 2018, so it wasn't a launch title, but yeah, it's been like 7 years since the last 3D Mario, and still no new Mario game. Of course, personally, I'm not interested about, but I'm just curious why not. Uh, and yeah, there will be those two newest Zelda games, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. They will be remastered for Switch 2, I think. Uh, and yes, also, if you are an online Nintendo Online membership uh, owner, Nintendo Switch 2 will have exclusive Nintendo GameCube classics on the online service. So yeah, that's quite neat. Quite neat, yes. Because we didn't see GameCube classics on Nintendo Switch. Maybe it was because I don't know, Switch wasn't powerful enough to emulate GameCube games, perhaps. I don't know, maybe. Um, and the third party games, some of them, Elden Ring will now be on Nintendo Switch 2. Cyberpunk 2077 will be Ultimate Edition, like the definitive edition. Hades 2 India game will be actually timed exclusive on Nintendo Switch 2, what I've heard. Uh, what other game? Well, there will be a lot of huge successful games that were released in the last couple of years that the Nintendo Switch original just couldn't handle them, like Elden Ring and Cyberpunk. So there will be a lot of yes, Split Fiction, the new co-op game from the makers of what was it called, their previous game, It Takes Two, I think, yeah. So Split Fiction will be on Nintendo Switch 2. I just can't remember it. But there will be a lot of games now coming to Switch 2 that were not possible to port to original Switch. So that's a good thing, of course, because it's just my opinion, like Nintendo could not survive solely with first party games. Like Nintendo always needs a strong third party support, in my opinion. And you know, like history just proves that Wii U, and I would say partly Wii, but more Wii U, was a kind of big disappointment because there were very weak third party support on Wii U, and yeah, look what happened to the console. uh, and yeah, a little bit same goes with the original Wii, but yeah, it definitely needs strong third-party support. And original Nintendo Switch had huge third-party support, and I think that is one of the key reasons why Nintendo Switch was such a huge success. And I'm sure that it will have as big or even bigger support of third party for the Nintendo Switch 2, and that will be a very, very different, very, very important uh, thing for it to be as huge success as the original Switch, or even bigger. Only years will tell what happens with the Switch 2. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, I like I very rarely uh, make videos nowadays, or it. I wouldn't say it's permanently. I think it's temporarily. Just that I kind of lack the motivation of the, or just don't have enough topics to talk about. That's also the reason. But uh, you know, maybe see you in another video when I have a big enough reason to make one. Of course, like just a little bit about the upcoming, or is it still coming, the Shadow Man Dark Hue Legacy or something. You see, I have almost forgotten the full title of the game, but the new Shadow Man, I think it was Dark Hue Legacy. Uh, we haven't heard anything about that. Like, nothing. No screenshots, no additional screenshots aside from the ones that have been published uh, like 2 years ago, or almost, I think, or has it been 2 years when it was announced? It's been a long time. Only a very short teaser video. Uh, so of course I will be doing a video if we get any new info on the new Shadow Man, but I'm not holding my breath to be honest about the game in general and how it will go. But yeah, that's been a big disappointment not getting anything new about the game. Anyway, so this is it. Yeah, I'll make another video when I feel like and have a interesting topic to talk about. So bye for now.